Level 1. The unhappy spouse. You're 22 years old. You live in a stone house on the edge of a market town in England. It's 1320. You married your wife 3 years ago.
Right.
You didn't choose her.
Off.
Your father chose her. Her father agreed. Land changed hands. A priest blessed the union. You were 19. She was 16. You'd met her twice before the wedding. Now you share a bed, a hearth, and a life that feels like a slow drowning. She doesn't speak to you at meals. You don't speak to her at night. The silence isn't angry. It's just empty. But you can't just leave. Marriage in medieval Europe is a sacrament, a holy bond sealed by God Himself. The Church says what God has joined together, let no man separate. And the Church isn't making suggestions. The Church is the law. If you want out, you don't go to a judge. You go to a bishop. And bishops don't like saying yes. Level 2. The complainer. You start talking, not to your wife, to your neighbours, to the men at the alehouse. You tell them she's cold. She tells the women at the well that you're cruel. Word spreads. The parish priest hears about it. He pulls you aside after Mass. My son, marriage is a sacred duty. Pray for patience. You nod. You pray. Nothing changes. But you've heard stories. A man in the next county got his marriage dissolved. A woman in York was granted a separation. It's possible. Difficult, expensive, humiliating, but possible. You find out there are two paths. Annulment, where the Church declares your marriage never actually existed, or separation from bed and board, where you're still married but don't have to live together. Neither one is easy. Both require you to stand before a church court and prove your case. Level 3. The petitioner. You travel to the diocesan court. It's in the cathedral city 30 miles away. 2 days on foot. The court is held in a chamber next to the cathedral. Clerks everywhere. Men in robes scratching on parchment. You approach a proctor, a church lawyer. He listens to your complaint, then he tells you the price. A proctor's fee, court filing costs, witness expenses. The total could reach several pounds. That's more than most peasants earn in a year. You pay the initial fee. The proctor files your petition. Now you wait. The court will summon your wife. She'll have to respond. This could take months. Level 4. The grounds. Your proctor sits you down. You can't just say you're unhappy. The Church doesn't care about your feelings. You need legal grounds. First option, consanguinity. You and your wife are related by blood within the prohibited degrees. The Church forbids marriage between relatives up to the 4th degree. If you can prove your great-great-grandmother and her great-great-grandmother were sisters, the marriage is void. Noble families use this one constantly. They marry for politics, then suddenly discover a shared ancestor when they want out. Second option, pre-contract. One of you was already promised to someone else before this marriage happened. Third option, impotence. If the marriage was never consummated, it can be annulled. But proving this is exactly as uncomfortable as you think. The Church will send a panel of women to physically examine your wife. Fourth option, fraud or coercion. If you were forced into the marriage against your will, your proctor looks at you. Which one applies? You remember something your mother once said about your wife's grandmother coming from the same village as your grandfather. Consanguinity it is. Level 5. The investigation. The court opens an investigation. They send clerks to examine parish records, baptismal registers, marriage records. Your proctor hires a genealogist. He traces bloodlines for a living. He's expensive. He digs through records in 3 parishes. He interviews a 7, 8-year-old woman who remembers your grandfather's mother. She says the families were connected through a marriage 2 generations back. The evidence is thin. Church records from that era are incomplete. Some were lost in a fire. But your proctor is confident. He's seen cases won on less. Meanwhile, your wife has hired her own proctor. She doesn't want the annulment, not because she loves you, because if the marriage is annulled, she loses everything. Her dower rights, her home, her social standing. A woman without a marriage in medieval society is a woman without protection. She's going to fight this. Level 6. The court battle. The hearing begins. You stand in the ecclesiastical court before an official appointed by the bishop. Both proctors present their arguments. Witnesses are called. The old woman testifies about the family connection. Your wife's proctor challenges her memory. She's 78. How reliable is that? Your proctor brings parish records. Partial records. Names that might match. The handwriting is terrible. Half the ink has faded. The official examines everything. He consults canon law texts. Gratian's decretum. The papal decretals. This goes on for weeks. You make the trip to the cathedral city 4 times. Each trip costs you money. Each trip takes you away from your land. Your crops are suffering. Your neighbours are talking. Level 7. The judgment. 3 months later, the official delivers his ruling. The consanguinity claim is insufficient. The evidence doesn't clearly establish a prohibited degree of kinship. Your petition for annulment is denied. Your proctor isn't surprised. Most first attempts fail. But there's another option. You can appeal to the Archbishop's court. From there, all the way to Rome. Each appeal costs more money, more time. Or you try a different approach. Your proctor suggests filing for separation from bed and board. You'll still be technically married. You can't remarry, but you won't have to live together. For separation, you can claim cruelty, adultery, heresy. You don't have evidence of adultery. She's not a heretic. But cruelty is broad, subjective. You have neighbours willing to testify that the household is miserable. You file the new petition. Level 8. The separation. The separation case moves faster. Your proctor presents witnesses, neighbours who heard arguments through the walls, the parish priest who counselled you both and found no resolution. Your wife's proctor argues back. She claims you were the cruel one. Her sister testifies. Her friend from the market. The official hears both sides. Separation from bed and board is granted. But the conditions are strict. Your wife keeps her dower. That's 1/3 of your property. She gets the use of a house. Annual payments for her maintenance. You're still married in the eyes of God. You cannot take another wife. You walk out of the court. You're not happy. You're not sad. You're just lighter. Level 9. The noble exception. Now, imagine you're not a peasant. You're a baron. You have lands across 3 counties. For nobles, the rules are technically the same, but the reality is completely different. When a baron wants out, he hires the best canon lawyers in England. They comb through genealogies until they find a blood connection, and they always find one. Noble families intermarry so frequently that almost everyone is related to everyone. Consanguinity becomes a tool, a weapon, a convenience. The case moves quickly because the baron can pay for speed. He can send messengers to Rome. He can petition the Pope directly. He can make donations to the church that happen to coincide with his court dates. The marriage is annulled. He remarries within months. His former wife is sent to a convent or returned to her family. This is how kings operate. The sacrament is sacred and permanent unless you have enough money to find the loophole. Level 10. The aftermath. You're 30 now, separated for 4 years. You live alone on your reduced land. You work. You eat. You attend Mass every Sunday and sit in a row by yourself. You see your former wife sometimes at the market. You nod, she nods. That's it. You can't remarry. She can't remarry. You're both trapped in a marriage that doesn't function but still technically exists. You think about what it cost you. Years of your life, most of your savings, a third of your property, and you didn't even get a full dissolution. You got a separation, a legal acknowledgement that you shouldn't live together, but you're still bound by holy law. You think about the young men in the village who are about to get married. Arranged matches, just like yours. Some will work, some won't. Some of those young men will end up exactly where you are, sitting alone, paying for a marriage they can't escape. But you weren't born in a world where walking away is simple. You were born in this one, where the church decides your fate, where the only thing harder than staying married is trying to leave.